Ladies and gentlemen, Tactical Advance here, and welcome back to some more Arma 3. Now, just taking a look at some of the new helicopters that have been introduced. Now, so far, actually, believe it or not, this is actually my favourite. The Ghost Hawk, the UH-80 Ghost Hawk, and I'm going to show you why in a little bit. It has actually, it's got two side gunners, and it does not have a front gunner. Now, this is a totally different story. We'll walk over here. This one has shitloads of guns. I suppose it's the only words I can explain it, really. I mean, there's just loads of them. The only thing what I didn't like about this one, which we'll talk about in a little bit, is I'll show you that later. Anyway, I mean, this one is the MI-48. I think, first of all, let's take a look at this one. Now, it may look basic, but don't let that deceive you. This thing is not called the Ghost Hawk for no reason. Right, anyway, look, first of all, what we'll do, first of all, I think, actually, let's get around this side, because I'll get in the side gunner. Now, let's get in the door gunner. I'm probably got on the wrong side again, guys. I've just realised that by mistake. No, I haven't got it right. Well, first of all, welcome to the 6.5 Gatling. And this thing, let's just say it has quite a good fire rate. Now, what you will notice, guys, I have infinity ammo set on just for the sake of the demonstration, so we don't have any problems running out of ammo. And you'll see why you need that later when we move on to the Hellfire missiles. So anyway, I mean, not bad. I mean, first of all, if you have two people inside gunners, you know, you can take out anything with this, pretty much. You know, you're gonna demobilize probably any sort of ground vehicle quite easily. You know, by shooting it, taking out his engine, taking out his wheels. You know, you're going to be taking out ground troops of this. You know, it's very good, very, very good. Now, obviously, there's two of these, one either side. The disadvantage is obviously someone can just shoot you while you're actually sitting in the gunner's seat. But the advantage this has is it's bloody fast. Now, we'll jump in the back now if we can. I'd like to get in the back. Now in the back, pretty good, guys. 8 seats. So you think about it. 12-seater this is. You've got 8 here. Two gunners, a co-pilot and a pilot. Not bad. Not bad at all. Now, the other thing I thought was pretty good as well. You've got actually a bit of wheel defense. You've got this armoring here, that actually folds up. Now you actually can take the wheel out. I'm not going to do it, but from this angle, I know you don't have the same thing, but it's not bad logic. If you're gonna have a wheel carrier, you might as well defend the wheel when it's down. Maybe that wasn't the logic, guys, but you know, that's what I picked up on it anyway. Now I've had a good look around this for a start. Now the first thing you're going to notice is very, very, very. I suppose the best way to word it is aerodynamic, isn't it? Really. I mean, the way it's shaped and the way it's designed is you know, you can see it flying through the air quite well, apart from obviously these holes here, which are obviously going to create a little bit of drag. Now, the rear tail rudder, we've got to get this out of the way. Now, although it's quite high up, there's nothing protecting that tail rudder from touching something. Do you know what I mean? Something touching that and it imploding. That is the downside. I mean, if we just take a look at, and what I mean, just so I'll demonstrate, just so we can actually see a comparison of what I actually mean here. Choppers, get something like that one out, create a player, close. Now, if we look at something like a tail rudder on this, now obviously that's it nicely in that case there. If you come down a bit too hard on the tail piece there, it's not an issue, is it? You know, but you do the same thing. I know it sits a lot higher. I mean, you could come down on the rear piece, but there's just nothing covering it. I mean, in most of the other helicopters do have some sort of protection around the rear tail rudder. So that's the observation I made. What does that mean? I don't know. I suppose it means that, I mean, if you're landing, I see this more as a fast insurgent. If you want to get somewhere fast, get in and get out super rapid, this is the beast. This thing is ridiculous. It's so fast. There's even questionable having the tail gunners. I mean, having the gunners. I mean, it's all well and good having them, but you've got to be able to shoot them. And at top speed, you've got no hope. You're going to have to be going slowish. Now, deflection, RPG, obviously it's going to be receptive to RPG rounds. But what it does have, I'll show you, we're jumping anyway. Has flares, which I can deploy now. Which pop out, you'll do that again. There we go. Theoretically, detracting away, I suppose that's supposed to break our lock on a missile. Don't know how well that's going to work in practice. We can try that in mid-air anyway. Right. Before we take off, guys, I'm not a Nighthawk flyer by any means, but we'll have a bit of a whiz around. Now, first observation is very impressive inside, guys. The first thing when I got in here, I fired it up. Wow. Pretty cool. Looked inside. Like the way the stick moves with your hand. It's a bit juddery at the moment, but I'm sure they'll iron that one out. Now, one of the other features this has actually got, if I go to the co-pilot seat now, right, I can actually take control of the aircraft, which I like. I thought that was brilliant. I mean, I've always noticed, to the pilot seat, and I'm going to, I'm already in control. Now, I like that because then it gives you that ability to jump between, you know, jump between pilots, between one pilot flying and the other one flying, because it might be a case that, you know, he might want to get out and he might have to do something, or he may get shot. I mean, I don't know, you know, there's all these scenarios where really, if there's two sticks, you should be able to pass the controls over. So, anyway, first thing I wanted to look at actually, which is, let's just take a look at a bit of the animation. Now, first of all, you can see out there exhaust vents there. We're getting a bit of sort of heat turbulence, which I liked. I thought that was quite nice. And you would actually notice that the main propeller is actually quite leaning forward quite a lot. If we compare that to all the other ones we get in late, or the next one we get in, you see what I mean. Now, as a pilot, are you safe? You know, you do have a windscreen, you've got a side window, you are vulnerable, but you're always sort of going to be vulnerable. But I'm going to say, one of the advantages you do have in this, that you don't have in a lot of the others, is speed. Now, let's just take a look at the animation now. We want to see the undercarriage go up, so I'm just going to sort of go up slowly so you can see. It's set based on height, so you can't actually control the undercarriage, but just going to go in a minute. Here we go. There we go. So as you can see, very, very aerodynamic. So let's get cracking. So we're going to gain a little bit of altitude first of all. And away we go. I've got auto hover on there. I must have. Yep, I have. Didn't realise. Sorry. Must have been on them as you get in. So away we go. Bit safer anyway. Now, so far, I've got this up to a reasonable speed, about 400. I think 400 kilometers an hour is a reasonable speed for this, but you probably want to gain a little bit of altitude. Might have a bit of thunder and lightning here as well, but hey, what the hell. And I'm going to dive bomb a bit just so we can crank up the speed. Now, a comfortable cruising speed in this could be about 350. Let's have a look anyway. So we're going to start turning a little bit, but I'm going to want to keep the speed up a little bit. Now, the good thing about this, obviously, because having an undercarriage, you can fly quite low to the ground as well. You don't have that undercarriage sticking down. And I'm assuming that obviously helps to the aerodynamics of the actual helicopter itself as well. Take a whiz round here, shall we? Down the coastline. So very, very fast. I mean, so far, this is the one I've got the top speed in. It was 400 and something I got. But I mean, if you go get some higher altitude, you're probably going to get a higher speed in that. But, you know, it depends, really. I mean, it depends how high you actually drop from, I suppose. And not that, I suppose the other bonus with this one as well, obviously you can carry quite a few people as well, so that's the other advantage really. I mean, it's not just like you know, you've got a couple of people in here. This is like you got pretty much 10, you know, you can have 11 people in here. Which makes it actually, do you know what? Pretty good. That's a nice quick landing anyway. Just a quick fly around really, just to sort of, you know, give it a try and see what it's like. Now, obviously you do have these. You can see them in full flow there. But I'm only going to really better try that once someone actually fires an RPG at me or fires a missile. Now I'm assuming you get some sort of missile lock in the cabin. Let's see if I just get a little bit closer to the other ones. Would be handy, wouldn't it? Not too close, obviously. Woohoo! That was a bit too rough, but that's fine. So, actually, believe it or not, in the grand scheme of it, it may look basic. 2 Gatling guns, super fast. I like it. I think it's pretty good. So, the Ghost Hawk for me all day long. I mean, it's not, you know, it's going to get you places really fast. That's what I see. Now, for the sheer fun of it, this thing, I mean, this is an absolute beast. I mean, what can I say, guys? MI48. Woo! Where do I start? Now, what I was going to say earlier when I actually walked over to it, what I was going to say is, the only thing I didn't like is when you get into the pilot's seat, the side doors don't shut. So, every time you sort of do, you know, you're going to take off, you've got to shut the doors. So, like this. You don't have to, you can leave the doors open, but I don't want the doors open. And I didn't find a way to actually close them inside. Now, obviously, this has an amazing assortment of guns. Hellfire missiles, obviously it's got rockets. It's also got flares as well for, obviously, missile lock. It's got this absolute beast of a gun here. Now, in here we have a rear compartment. So we're going to take a look in here, actually. We'll jump in. I'll just close the door now. You can see, actually, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 seats there. 8 seats in the bottom compartment. So not only is this actually got a, you know, enough arsenal on it to wipe out a small army, you know, you got 8 people sitting in the front there. Now in this scenario, where say for instance in the other helicopter, where your co-pilot could actually be a troop member, he doesn't have to be a pilot, so that'd be 8, 9, 10, 11 of you in one helicopter. There's actually only 8 of you in here who are probably going to be, you know, troops. And the reason I say that is because although there is 2 compartments here, one compartment is really designated towards the gunner. Now, you don't need a gunner. We can have a look in the gunner's seat. So the gunner obviously sits in here. He has a couple of views. Obviously, he can go hardcore mode and he can chill out and look around for targets like this, you know, as well as the pilot obviously looking for targets as well. But obviously, he has another view, which is this view, which if I put my head onto the actual this thing in front of me, as you can see here, and then it puts me into this target mode. Now in this mode, what I can do is obviously the basic gun that's actually set up at the moment is the cannon, which is basically firing HE explosive shells. So, and I can actually change them between HE to Arma AP shells as well. So, you know, like I said, I think actually why I'm here as well, I can actually change also now to the rest of the arsenal, which I'm going to fire one over here. Bit difficult because I'm not actually in the air, right? And then we've got the obviously more health, these Skyfly missiles here, which they seem to be pretty locked onto that target actually. Oh, so that explains that. I got that a little bit wrong there. Oh, see that bolt of lightning just hit in front of me there. Bit of a coincidence, but anyway. So, like I said, you can, you know, get the co-pilots actually, or you can go into manual mode, and I'll show you how to do that. So what you can do is you can get out. This is if you want to go hardcore. Obviously, there's a lot to do here if you do go for this other option. Now, you jump in the pilot's seat. Obviously, I'm sitting above him now. He's below me. Or if in this case you're on your own, and what you can do now is you can go manual fire mode. So now I can actually fire them weapons myself, and to alternate between the different types of weapons, you press the F key. So pressing the F key now, you can see I'm siphoning through. So I can go over to the cannon, and I can also scroll now to also load the armor piercing rounds as well. Now what I would advise, which I did notice, is if we just jump out a second. Now, this is what you've got to be careful of. If you're going into manual mode, little tip for you, which is hard to do now. Always try and make sure your main gun, make sure you don't get in the gunner first, because when you go into manual mode, the gun is sitting in the middle. Now if you look, it's off at an angle. So when I get into manual mode, I've got no means to move that gun. That's the only, so far, that's the only downside. But if you don't get in there first, it's not an issue because it's always set to be in the middle. So you're never going to have that problem. So I'm going to have to put it in manual fire again.
Manual fire. And
then I can go into my burst fire. Now, you've also got, the same as last, to lose missile lock. And I'm assuming you will get some sort of notification inside the cockpit once you get some sort of alarm going off. Now, let's get it started. Now, you get this HUD display in front of you. You also get this sort of radar as well and a few other little bits and bobs, but haven't actually tried them out with an enemy yet because this is, as I say, pretty new, isn't it? It's just come out today. So what we're going to do is, first of all, let's take a look on the outside and see what the animation looks like. Well, the first observation about this is, I would say, is it has twin propellers. Propellers? What am I going on about? Jesus Christ. It's got a twin set of blades. It's not a single, hasn't got single, it's got twin. Now, I'm assuming that's because of the sheer weight. I'm not 100% certain, guys, why they have two. I would assume that one rotor wouldn't lift it up. I don't know. I'm not 100% certain on that one, guys. Now, actually, do you know what? I've just realised what it is. And it's because it hasn't got, it must be because it hasn't got a rear tail rudder, I'm assuming. Maybe that the props are actually leaning to, I don't know. Not really quite sure. But either way, looks pretty cool. Looking around it. Now, you've seen the little holes on the side there. Well, I'm going to fire them off now. They actually come out of the holes there. And I sort of did wonder what they were for when I first sort of, approached the vehicle. I thought, what's it, look, some sort of cheese grater thing on the side. So anyway, so we're going to move on. Take off. Now, this has undercarriage. Now, the undercarriage are quite big on this, to say the least. Surprised they didn't actually detract, but they actually don't, so. And what we're going to do, try not to crash. Take sort of similar sort of route, I think. We'll fly this way. Probably going to get a little bit high first. A lot slower this. Now, this is definitely not your fast attacking gunship. I mean, it is pretty nippy, don't get me wrong. You can get up to quite a reasonable speed on this, but it feels like the acceleration and deceleration is quite slow. So, say for instance, if you made a mistake and you were trying to aim on something, maneuverability is compromised, I would say. So we've got the Gatlings selected. So let's go to something like the twin rockets, and then we'll see if we can see what we can shoot. I don't know what we're going to shoot yet, but something over this hill. Now, obviously the advantage of this is if you are dropping someone off on the way and you've got 8 people in here, you can put not only put down some good covering fire, you can pretty much kill all the enemy before your men get out. I think that's probably you've got enough ammunition here. I mean, I have got ammo on Infinity, but I mean, you're starting with 38 of these rockets. You've got 38 of these rockets. Oh, lightning just hit. 38 of them. 250 on the main firing gun with the HE and the high explosive, and you got 8 of them as well. So you got a good bit of ammo there, Now, like I said, I mean, unless I really sort of dive bomb here, you're looking at about 3. I could probably get 300, 400 maybe. It's pretty fast, but if you fly it, you see what I mean. It feels sluggish. Your manoeuvrability is very slow. We've got some targets coming up. Back into that view. Now, have we got anything else we can take out? Let's go and take out a whole village. Now, they're probably going to see you coming in this thing, aren't they? Because it's so bloody big. totally. It's quite, as I say, it's quite sluggish, and you'll probably see what I mean when you come to flying it. And we're going to whack the old auto hover on now. I'm not trying to be a hero today. I'm using the mouse, so I think if I had proper controller, that, you know, it'd be a lot easier. Yeah, I'm not overly major bothered where we land this, but could just cheat and teleport, but let's move it forward a little bit. That'll do. Let's go down. Going down. Now, you know, I like this, but compared to the other one, I mean, all the arsenal and guns are great. I mean, it would be pretty cool if one of your mates is in the gunner seat, I must admit. I mean, I do like the idea. And this thing just, I don't know, it's what everyone's always wanted, isn't it? You know, a helicopter with an absolute rake load of ammunition and, you know, missiles and machine guns and all sorts. There we go, that'll do. Set her down there. Engine off. So, yeah, like I said, not bad. Movability's a little bit slow, but I suppose that this could be a real formidable battle helicopter with the right crew, if you know what I'm saying. You know, if you had someone who was very good at a pilot and had a good controller, and had someone who's very good on the gunner, you know, you could do some serious damage in this thing. There's no doubt about that. It could be very, very, very dangerous. Now, there is a few more we can take a look at. It's actually getting a bit dark now, so I've left the landing lights on this one. Now, this is one of the other ones. I mean, this is probably going to be the one that's probably going to be used the most, I should imagine. But I'll tell you what, actually, what we could take a look at. Let's have a look. Choppers. Which is probably actually, I mean, that's the pretty much going rate. Let's just drop one of these in front of me. Is that player? Now, it looks very similar to the other one, I must admit. You look at it and it does look very similar. I mean, like I said before, this one has the actual rear prop is actually inside. You know, inside it. Keep this way. Danger. And I noticed as well, I don't know if you see the actual blades are actually slightly bent over. Now, this is, we've got to say, this has no crew compartment, where all the others have a crew compartment. I mean, that has a crew compartment. Obviously, this one's designed for moving troops, but it has Hellfire missiles and a small Gatling gun on the other side. But this is obviously, this is an attack, surveillance, whatever we want to call it, gunship. So, let's take a look at this. Let's get in the pilot seat. Now, obviously, we've got, here we go, climbing in, pilot seat. And then we can also, hang on a minute, if we get out. I don't know why it's not giving me an option. I like the animation as well. At least they've changed it and not made it all the same. We have two seats here. The gunner's seat. I'll tell you why this is slightly different and why it's worth looking at this one. Is because of this. And you do get a slightly different view as well. I mean, when he's sitting in the gunner, obviously, I mean, it's using a Gatling gun, but 1,000 rounds of HE shells on a Gatling gun. I mean, you could take out anything on this, pretty much. I mean, we could take out that. You know, you probably, I mean, how much rounds are we using there? So look. Quite a lot on this one. But either way, pretty good gun. And you can actually switch to actual rounds as well. We're going to get out. Oops. I've come out of this view first. I want them out. Big bugged out there. So, let's take it for a fly. I mean, today I just wanted to give them all a bit of a fly around, see what they're like, 'cause they're all new. And let's start up. Now, is that an enemy radar? I'd like to think so. Maybe it might work, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Now, one thing I did notice about this, fantastic viewing range. This is like the reconnaissance vehicle. I know it's got a good gun, but for reconnaissance, you could look at it, look how far you can see. In all the others, you're limited really to sort of this sort of view. But here, this is, you know, brilliant. If say for instance your co-pilot spotted something to the left and you look left, you could see past where you've already flown, which is a great advantage. The disadvantage might actually sit. Let me I just actually noticed something. You can actually, I've just actually noticed that you can actually, meant to actually get in the pilot seat. that right? Pilot seat sits at the top. Alright, fair play. The gunner's at the front. Okay, fair play. So basically the pilot's at the rear. I mean, you can actually take control. You can swap control of the helicopter around, and you can do that with most of the helicopters now. If the co-pilot's sitting there, because you have the 2 sticks, you can swap control, which I like as well, which I think is really good. Let's get that started up again. It won't take a second. Now, this has undercarriage, as you can see. So we're going to take off, and we're going to have a look at the undercarriage going up as we go up. Now, it looks very stealthy as well, as you noticed. It looks very streamlined. There we go. Animation looks good. Now you're gonna need a good gunner in here. You're gonna have to have a good team, someone who's pretty blooming good at firing a gun, because otherwise it's gonna be really tough. Now what I can do is I can actually go into manual fire mode, very similar to the last one, and I also have obviously my flares as well. Now, as long as that Gatling gun's, as long as the gun's actually still been centre, I can, you know, quite easily take out targets myself as well. So let's just do a bit of a... Animation's pretty good. You can't see the jets. Oh, you can see a little bit of heat coming out, a little bit of heat coming out the top there. Not a massive amount. It's going a bit lower. Picking up some speed now, coming up to about 300. I mean, doing it solo is going to be very difficult, as you can see. Taking out a target without... I mean, even if you go into the cockpit view, you know, taking out a target like this is going to be very, very difficult. I mean, I like the fact that you've got this fantastic... I mean... You can attack targets while he's attacking targets. You could be surveying. I mean, look at the view you got. I mean, it's, the window is fantastic. This would be a fantastic reconnaissance. It's not one of the fastest. Lightning just hit right next to me. It's not one of the fastest by any means, but for that purpose, brilliant. I might take a land here. Make a change, eh? Now, probably where it's going to fall down and short a little bit. I mean, there's no reason for you to be landing out in the sticks with this thing, because, let's be honest, you know, I don't think that's the purpose of the helicopter. The helicopter, really, I mean, it can take out targets, no problem. You can fly to a target with your gunner, take him out, get out there quickly, no problem. But you're not going to be dropping any troops off in this, because there's only 2 of you in there, so it's like, well, what's the point in that? Now, landing off, you know, I say off-road on this sort of train, you're going to have to make sure, you know, the ground's relatively flat. There's not going to be very forgiving in this thing, I tell you. So, just to save going back, what I'm going to do, wrong button, bring me down, I'm going to teleport. Let's just hope we don't land on another helicopter. There we go, we're back here, so let's jump out. And here we are. Now, for moving in troops, we've had a new addition. Now, we have this one, which is slightly bigger. Slightly bigger than the last one they had, but there is one other one, which I'm not going to say it's a Huey, but it's definitely bigger. We'll take a look at that. Hang on, here we go. What we're doing to choppers, here we are. And it is it that one? I can't remember, hang on. Gunship. It's the Hummingbird. Oh, here we are. Pretty big old setup. Now, what this actually does have, it obviously has the crew compartment. But actually, what I did notice in this, if I can actually even get something to come up, is the inventory slots. Now, as you can see, there's a load of stuff in the inventory. I don't know why, but obviously each vehicle has its own slots. Now, this thing will obviously going to carry more than anything else. And this is more for transporting troops. It has no guns. But so if we actually have a look in the... we actually get in the rear area. Take a look. What do we got? Now, inside here, there's a bloody lot of seats. I'm going to lie to you. This is, I mean, you could do a parachute drop in this with good amounts. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 people. You have 16 people in here. It's a lot. So something like that would be good for dropping troops off. Obviously, it's a slow departure, and you could go into hot zone, but you're going to come under fire. You know, but obviously the disadvantage, you've got no gunner. That's the downside. But we're going to give it a go anyway. Pilot, in you go. Here we are. This is it. It's probably one of the most impressive ones, actually. I was quite excited to actually turn it on and see what these screens done when I first got in it. So we're going to start her up. Now you have other controls as well, obviously like lights and stuff like that, lights on the console. But because we're not playing at night, probably not really going to make any difference really. Now obviously what you have, you can switch sides as well, and you can change two people. You can switch between who's flying again, the co-pilot situation. Take a look at some animation as well when we take off, see what it looks like. Now you can see the rear jets there, they look pretty cool. And here we go. Now that sort of got me the first time. I wasn't expecting that to happen. That's why I was sort of, you know, for something like this, I expected it actually to not have undercarriage, but it does. Now this is actually pretty fast, actually. I mean, most big transporters are. I mean, the Huey's pretty fast, but this is pretty fast as well, considering. So transporting a large amount of troops, you could do it, but the disadvantage you have is you do lose, you know, that. You know, the movability at low ground. If you're flying low now, so we're going to go a bit lower without crashing, which I hope. You know, the turning circle's not as good. It's pretty good, but it's no way as good as like some of the other smaller helicopters where you can take in small troops and drop them off on the top of a hill. This thing's obviously a lot slower. But at saying that, you're going to be dropping off more troops in one given time. So let's just give it a try and see what the possibilities are here. Let's go down here and see what we can get on here. Slight hill here. I mean, I should better theoretically should better land on that. We'll give it a go. Depends how far the gear pokes out, doesn't it, when it actually lands, and what sort of, you know, what sort of land it would actually land on. So it's, now this is like like I said, it's not going to get you in and out that fast, because, you know, descending and ascending is not one of the fastest of them all, to be honest with you. Just nudge forward a little bit, I think. Go next to that rock, maybe. Now it should actually go on this hill. You would have thought so, wouldn't you? So, you know, it's possible. You can land on little hills, but it's not going to be. It's no way going to be as fast as something like one of the little birds. The little birds are going to get you in really fast, nippy. They're going to fly in really fast, land, you know, and get you into them situations quickly. But this does serve a purpose. I mean, I think if you could have a choice of helicopters on a mission, you would go in it with a little bird or something like that, something fast, and you might be under fire, you know, fly in there really fast, drop the troops off, zoom out. You'll probably end up making 2 trips, and then I'll probably go evac in this, because, you know, when it's a little bit safer. Either that, or you could use this for bringing in supplies. You could use it as a medical. There's quite a few things you could actually use this for, actually, but, you know, at the moment, I suppose, in the game, it is sort of like the Huey of the game. It's the biggest one that can carry the most troops. Other than the gunship, with all fairness, the gunship can carry quite a few. You know, it's not far off from what this is actually carrying. So it does sort of make you think to yourself, actually, do you know what? Yeah, as I say, you know what, you think to yourself, well, you might as well just take the gunship with you. Obviously, the ammunition's not going to last forever, but, you know, at the same time, I don't know, I mean, I'll probably just take that with me, because I think to myself, you know what, might as well have some guns with you, rather than going in with no guns. But either way, I suppose it depends on what mission you're doing. So we're going to whack this down here. Does look pretty good. I like the paintwork on it. Now, with the helicopters, what there is actually a few options you can actually choose from. You can actually, when you actually, well, like I did. I mean, I've picked the black ones, but there's camos on most of them. There's a couple of different variants that you can actually choose from. Depending on your, I mean, if you make missions and stuff like that, well, you know, you might not want to have a green camo one for some reason. Now, I suppose that if, you know, if I was on a mission, what would I take with me? I suppose there is one for each type. I'll probably use that for an evac because it's, you know, it's got no guns. I mean, although you can get the troops out fast, you've got no defensive capability. I'll probably use something like this. I think this is fantastic. I think this is pretty good for taking in troops. You know, and it's got two relatively good guns. It's pretty fast. You know, landing's not going to be as fast, but it's fast there. You know, fast getting there and back. This is a reconnaissance helicopter. This is fantastic. Not just only is it reconnaissance, it's got the ability with that Gatling gun to take out targets as well. And I sort of like that. I sort of prefer that. And then obviously the final one, which I did blow up earlier, which is the gunship. Do you know what? It's actually quite a good troop transporter, and it's actually got a good arsenal. So, what would I pick? I'll probably go for that. I mean, the only other option you really got to actually use is the standard helicopters. But, like I said, you might as well go with one of these. I think for reconnaissance-wise, this would be brilliant. I'll tell you where this will come into play. I'll give you a good example. Right. What we've got in the game now is, obviously, you've probably... I don't know if you've all tried them out yet, guys, but it's actually under vehicles. A bit weird. Let me find it. Static. Here we go. And what I'm going to do... not a core, I'll create a player. Right, now we've got mortars. Now, the only downside of the mortar... If I get in this mortar now, so I get in this gunner, which is great. Okay. And then we can go into artillery computer. Select on far range. So now far range will cover the whole map. Now, if I want to put mortars down here in this area, okay, and I want to fire now, and select what I'm actually going to fire, HE for instance. Now the problem I've got is I'm flying blind. I can't see that target. If I go back to that, if I go back to the artillery computer, the only way that I'm going to see a target here, there's something a bit bugged out with that. Oh, the fire button's up here now, it's down there, so there we go. So I can fire on these targets here. Actually, I could do them a bit closer. Just fire here. Now I can fire, it's not a problem, but say for instance, now, if you had something like, we're going to land in a minute. Maybe not. They do work. But if you had something like this, yeah, you could have that gunner marking targets. He could fly around on the map, mark the targets, fly in. He could fly. This could fly over enemy. Here we go. This could fly at. There they are over there. That's it. This could actually fly over enemy territory under heavy fire, and it's got the flares. It could. Because of the fantastic viewing window, he could mark targets, fire his gun at the same time, and line things up for the mortar. What a fantastic idea. I think I'm going to leave it on that note. I mean, that sort of gameplay would be fantastic, because I think each helicopter fits into its own realm, and I think this is probably my favourite, actually. It's between this one and probably that, actually, because it's a good troop carrier. It's got good guns, and it's bloody fast. This thing is just... If you had a two good operators and a mortar crew, you could do some devastating damage with this. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, dragged on a little bit there. I've gone on for over half an hour, but I mean, it's just a bit of an insight, you know. Take a look at the helicopters really and see what sort of purpose they can be used for. And it'd be really interesting to see further down the line what the modders and how they use them, you know, and how they actually implement in the game. You know, it's something I'm going to look forward to anyway. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.